How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to another match preview. It's that time of the week once again, and actually, it's only another week now until the season is over. We've got this game this weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. We've got a midweek fixture against Everton, and then, of course, the final game of the season next week against Manchester United, which I'm very fortunate enough to have got a ticket for. Do let me know in the comment section down below if you're going to be at the game. I know ticket prices aren't ideal for fans. I was really disappointed with those, but maybe that's a conversation for another day, maybe a podcast in the future. But yeah, we're going to be looking at the Spurs game today. We're going to be looking at the team news, the fixture itself, and of course have the Spurs perspective as well in today's video. As always, be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are very close to 9,000 subscribers if we haven't already hit it, so we should hit it this weekend. And I really do appreciate the support. The support throughout the whole season has been phenomenal. So, game against Spurs, of course, it's been a strange old season for Tottenham Hotspur. Still knocking on the door possibly for European football. If not, at the very least, they'll get the Europa Conference. But, of course, they'll still want a top six and a very, very long shot top four. But it's been interesting between these two teams since Wolves came up. It's been very equal. 2 wins each. Obviously 2 defeats and a draw, which was earlier in the season when Romain Saiss headed home on the 27th of December. But it's been 2 home defeats for Wolves, 2 away defeats for Spurs. That's right. So 2 home defeats for Wolves and 2 away wins for Wolves. I'm just going to confuse everybody here. But yeah, of course, when our first year back up, we beat Tottenham at Wembley, which was very fortunate to be at. A phenomenal game of football. And last year at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Raul Jimenez starring in that game. So we go back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium again without fans. I think the fans were phenomenal that game. One of the final games before obviously the season got cut short. I think it was the final away game with fans there. And I'm really hoping that we can see that sort of performance again. We see our recent games picking up 3 points against Brighton. A very spirited performance. Despite Brighton go down to 10 men, still had that little bit to do. And with the impact of Adama Traore, with the impact of the young players like Morgan Gibbs-White starring on Saturday, and Vitinha, although was a little bit quieter on Sunday, has done well against Brighton. And I think, although this season has, for a long, long time, felt like there hasn't really been much meaning. Of course, there's been fans on the back of a number of players and the management. But if you look at, the opportunity this run of fixtures has given to a number of our players, it is pivotal and could be crucial for the remainder of not just this season, the remainder of these young players' career, really. Ryan Ait-Nouri, of course, has been fairly fortunate with some of his teammates picking up slight injuries or what have you, and had a really solid run in the team now, which I think has been crucial for him and could be the difference between him getting and not getting a contract as a Wolves player from next season. Vitinha as well has had a really decent run in the team, and just players in general. Even Fabio Silva now getting a solid run in the team and showing fans that had doubts over him and neutrals that had doubts over him that he's capable of in the future leading the line for a Premier League team. Now, how Nuno approaches this next game, I'm not 100% sure. Is he going to go with quite an experienced team again, or can he keep with this youthful side? In terms of team news, Raul Jimenez, it is a game too early for him, at least. His tests are in 4 days' time from recording, so the 18th of May. Of course, Mexico are keeping their fingers crossed for that as well, because Jimenez has been named in the provisional squad for their upcoming matches in the summer, and possibly the Olympic squad as well, but I don't think he'll be in that squad until Wolves give Mexico the thumbs up. And I think if all the tests come back good, which I'm hoping, and Nuno seems pretty positive they may well do so, we may well see Raul Jimenez star against Manchester United in some capacity on the final game of the season. So to be at Molineux when that happens will be phenomenal. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him back in the old gold and black. In terms of other players that are may or may not be involved, Marcel and Willy Bolly have both returned to training this week. Willy Bolly, of course, having long COVID, which has caused his chest and some real breathing issues in recent times. Sounds like he's had tests of those and hopefully can be back in some capacity against Spurs. Whether he'll start or not, I'm not 100% sure. And Marcel as well, back in training. Nuno has said that all his injury issues have been solved now, and it's just about getting his match fitness and match sharpness up. So we may well see him involved for at some time on Sunday. Whether he starts or comes off the bench for Ain't Nori, I don't know. But he's been all right, Marcel. Whenever he's actually played, I know it's been very rare, but he's actually been okay when he's played. It's a shame about his injuries, and of course that's probably one we'll have to keep our eye on in the future, whether he's going to be playing more often or not, or whether the club will look to loan or possibly even sell Marcel. But the rest of the team, I think it sounds okay. Of course, again, keep your eye out on the social medias if there's any sort of news that normally gets dropped of an evening, on a Friday evening about the team or what have you. But other than that, it sounds like it's business as usual for Wolves and the team. Nuno's, of course, going to have a few selections to make, a few dilemmas in certain areas. Of course, he dropped Romain Saiss at centre-back last game to allow Max Kilman to come in, who had a pretty good game against Brighton. And whether he keeps the youth in, the young players that seem hungry and seem up for it at the moment, I don't know. So now we have got the Tottenham perspective from Matt Hayes, who is a Tottenham Hotspur content creator. He gives his thoughts on Spurs' season so far, and looking ahead, of course, to the game this weekend.
Hi Dave, thanks for asking me to come on the podcast. It's always a pleasure being asked by opposition fans to speak about Spurs, and I think this season is one where it has holds a lot more interest than others, because it's been a bizarre season for Spurs. I think more so than a lot of clubs. With being top of the table back in October, November, we had some incredible performances, winning 6-1 at Old Trafford, 5-2 against Southampton. We beat City, drew with Chelsea, beat Arsenal in the space of 2 weeks as well. It was shaping up to be a rather incredible season, but I'm sure as everybody can tell you, it's quickly fallen apart from there. And they tell you the league isn't won in October, November, and I'll tell you something, they're not lying. It's been a crazy downturn for Spurs from where we were to the shocking results that we've experienced since then, including the Europa League exit to Dinamo Zagreb, having won the first leg 2-0. We've had some really poor Premier League performances. We've dropped so many points from winning positions against Crystal Palace, Fulham, Newcastle, Wolves, of course, in the return fixture with Romain Saiss scoring that late equaliser. It's become really the trademark of Tottenham season, conceding late equalisers from set pieces, and it's just been an incredibly disappointing season. There was so much hope and expectation, that Jose Mourinho's second season where he wins something. He typically wins the league. I think United was the only side where he didn't do that. Not many Spurs fans were expecting us to win the league. I think the hope was there, but we just wanted a trophy, and we certainly didn't get that. 6 days before that cup final against Manchester City, Jose being the only manager ever to have beaten Guardiola in a final, and he's sacked, and we bring in Ryan Mason, who hasn't even done his coaching badges yet. I think is the most worrying way to put that. And then of course lost that cup final, and I think from then it's just been wishing that the season was over. I think the worst part really is getting the little bits of hope here and there that we may creep back into the top four, with Leicester losing against Newcastle last week. We're thinking get 3 points against Leeds, we're right back in that. And then, of course, we mess up our own part of that and we lose to Leeds. But I think Mason's appointment was a really, really interesting one by Daniel Levy. It probably goes to show how far we've fallen in the last 18 months, because we went from sacking Pochettino and within 11 hours having Jose Mourinho appointed to losing Mourinho. Then we're 3 weeks later now, and we've just about drawn up a shortlist. So it's been a poor couple of years for the club. It's just over 2 years since that famous win in Ajax when we got to the Champions League final, and look at us now. We're potentially falling into the Europa Conference League. It's just not been good enough. But looking ahead to this game, over 90 minutes, anything can happen, and I suppose Spurs have shown even in the last month or two that we can show up on any given day. And I think if we are going to do that, we do need the likes of Gareth Bale, Harry Kane, and Heung-min Son, who are the cornerstone of our team. Really, you've the few players along the back, you've Lloris, Alderweireld and Højbjerg kind of making up that spine of our team, but I think we need to score goals if we want to have any hope. And Harry Kane, since Ryan Mason has come in, is yet to have a goal contribution in 3 Premier League games and in the Cup final as well. And I'm pretty sure 3 Premier League games matches his longest ever goal drought in the competition, which goes to show the quality of player that he is, but also the kind of concern that we're having, because as bad as Jose Mourinho was as a manager of the overall team, there's no doubt he made Harry Kane explode into one of the best forwards the Premier League has ever seen in terms of getting goals and assists. But that's certainly petered out in the last couple of weeks. But Bale, Son, Kane for us, as it has been the whole way throughout the season, with Son and Kane, and Bale kind of adding himself into that list in the last couple of weeks. They're the players that we need if we want to get a result against any team against literally any team in the league. We saw that against Sheffield United as well. In terms of the Wolves players I'm concerned about, look, I was doing my own research for this game for my own channel. I was really, really impressed with the stats of Connor Cody and Nelson Semedo. And look, defenders aren't usually classed as key men, but when we have Son down our left-hand side, Kane down the middle, players like Semedo and Cody could be really, really important for Wolves. I think our one bit of hope is maybe Gareth Bale exploiting Ryan Aït-Nouri down our right-hand side, but then on the flip side, we have a Adama Traore always bursting back against us. I think, is it only one goal contribution he's had this season? Went a long, long time without getting his first one before that goal. I believe was against Fulham. He's always a concern, and Willian Jose as well. He's not really hit the ground running in terms of replacing Raul Jimenez, but he has the quality, and he can pop up with a goal at any moment. So I'd be quite concerned about them, especially the likes of Neto as well, on the transition if Spurs do play some sort of attacking football. In terms of what I think Spurs will go with this one, I think it'll be fairly similar to what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. A recent goal, the back four of Aurier, Alderweireld, Dyer, unfortunately, and Reguilon. It's interesting with Spurs because we haven't seen Ndombele in the midfield since Ryan Mason came in, so it could potentially be Højbjerg and Lo Celso in there, and then Bale, Ali, Son behind Harry Kane. And look, I think as a Spurs fan, a lot of us would feel that 11 should be enough to beat anybody in the league, but it certainly isn't. I'd take a scrappy 1-goal win in this, just to end the season on a bit of a high, get a couple of wins. I'm concerned about Wolves, to be honest. I really am concerned about what they could do to us in this game, but I'm going to have to stay confident as a Spurs fan, and I'm going to have to go with a 2-1 win for the Lily Whites.
Well, big thanks to Matt. I'll make sure I leave a link for his channel in the description if you guys want to go and check him out. Some great content over on there. And a predicted lineup, it's tough once again to call, guys. It's been, of course, an interesting season, and Nuno has now allowed these young players to have the opportunity to start. In an ideal world, you want them all to play, but Tottenham is a tough fixture, despite their mishaps this season. They've got some serious talent in that squad, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Nuno potentially go back to the back five. But I think if he's wanting to push this back four throughout the majority of next season, I don't see why he shouldn't give it a go. Tottenham have got their defensive issues themselves, and I think we can definitely cause them some problems going forward and breaking forward. I would start Patricio in goal, Aït-Nouri left back, Semedo, of course, coming back in at right back. I know Keanu Hoover played in that last game, so Semedo should be nice and fresh for the game. We could see him go back to the back five because you could easily slot Cody, Bolly if he's better, alongside Kilman, Sace. Then Donker could easily play there. You've got your midfield 2 or 3 possibly if we see Otosawi come back as well. So it's hard for me to pinpoint a solid 11. I'd like to see, obviously, Vitinha, Gibbs-White, Morgan, Fabio Silva, used in some capacity as well, but we'll have to wait and see, guys. Let me know your thoughts ahead of the game, and be sure to hit the like button down below. But just the 3 games left now this season, and fingers crossed Wolves can get the 3 points in this one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and I'll see you all very, very soon.